Welcome, folks, to Crypto News Global. I'm your host, Nick Toka. On today's show, top 3 crypto tokens to survive Donald Trump's tariff war. Bitcoin, Doge, and XRP, say the analysts. The U.S. regulators, FDIC and CFTC, ease crypto restrictions for banks and derivatives. Also, Bitcoin price falls toward range lows, but data shows whales going wild right now. All this and so much more on today's show. Welcome, folks, to Crypto News Global. I'm your host, Nick Toka. Bitcoin, the entire financial traditional markets are all dropping like flies today. More tariff talk. You've reached Crypto News Global. Today is March 28th, 2025, and I'm your host, Nick Toka. We're going to go through the Bitcoin market watch and technical analysis. All we're going to see is a whole bunch of red today, folks. I'll be honest with you. Let's get right into it. Bitcoin down almost 3%, 84,400. Ethereum down 5%, 1,900. Solana down 6%, 129 bucks. XRP down 6%, $2.18. Doge down 6%, 17. Make it 18 cents. Moving to our crypto bubbles, we've got about 95% in the red today, including Injective down 9%, Trump down 7%, Jupiter down 8%, not much in the green. We've got Move up 5%, Bear up 2%, and that's about it. Zooming out to the weekly, different story for the weekly. We have about a 50-50 mix, including Kronos up 30%, Bera up 26%. Let's zoom out to the monthly, and we've got about 90% in the red for the month, namely Pi, which made a big run for a little bit, but now she's tanking, down 70% for the month. Jasmy down 40% for the month. Bera up, and Kronos up for the month. Taking a look at the crypto market cap, we've got Bitcoin sitting at $1.67 trillion, Ethereum $229 billion, XRP $126 billion, Solana $66 billion, Doge $25 billion, Cardano $24 billion, Tron $22 billion. The total market cap right now is sitting exactly at $2.69 trillion, with Bitcoin holding 62% of the total dominance, Ethereum 8.5%, XRP 4.7%. We're sitting at a 26 in fear in the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. Yesterday was a 44 neutral, last week a 32 in fear. There's approximately 1,111 days until the next Bitcoin halving in 2028, with 160,089 blocks left to mine until that time. Going into our top assets by market cap, gold making another move up another 1% today. Total market cap of $20,750 billion. Apple sitting at $3.2 trillion, Microsoft $2.8 trillion, Nvidia $2.6 trillion, Amazon $2 trillion, silver $1.9 trillion, Google $1.9 trillion. Saudi Aramco has flipped Bitcoin at $1.7 trillion, and there's the biddy at $1.67 trillion as of a few minutes ago in the number 9 position. Facebook at number 10 at $1.46 trillion. You can currently get 1,187 Satoshis for one fiat US dollar. And the U.S. national debt currently stands at $36,655 billion, equaling 107,193 per U.S. citizen, and that's 323,048 per U.S. taxpayer. Let's check out our analysis here. So the ISM manufacturing PMI is actually showing that it is down in the past couple of months. Surprisingly, I am anticipating that this is going to take a big jump up and to the right, and when it does, Bitcoin is going to follow. Going into the M2 global money supply, we've got the supply sitting steady in 2025. We do see a bit of a increase here in the recent months, and again, I anticipate this is going to go way up in 45-degree angle up and to the right, turning the entire global money supply into crap. This is the US chart I'm showing here, but all the money printers are going to start printing soon, folks. They have to keep their debt in check. When we go to the money supply historically for the US, we can see that in 1966 they only owed $321,000. And now we are at 36.5 trillion, as we spoke about a moment ago. So big debts have to get paid off, and the only way they're going to do it is by lowering interest rates, because they've got to pay a fair portion of that debt off this year, and by printing money. As the money printer turns on, the inflation's going to rise, the fiat money will be debased, as it has been throughout history, but more so since 2020. And these are all good things for Bitcoin. So the IMF, we said a few episodes ago that they've now declared Bitcoin a de facto gold. So they're actually, it appears, going to start holding the biddy. So imagine that. We've got BlackRock with over 500,000 Bitcoin. We've got the US government creating a Bitcoin strategic reserve, and Cynthia Lummis wants to buy 1 million Bitcoins, and of course Michael Saylor is trying to convince them to buy 20% of the total supply. They're trying to convince them to buy 5 million Bitcoin. And then we've got the IMF saying, oh, you know what, I guess Bitcoin is legit after all. So how much more bullish can you get? I know the markets are down. The whales for sure are buying the biddy. There's going to be some survivors. There's going to be some shit coins, folks. I'm not going to lie. Stay away from the shit coinery. They're going to tank. They're going to go to zero against Bitcoin, as will the dollar eventually. But, when I say that, you might say, how is that even possible? Well, if Bitcoin goes to $1 million, then $1 is basically worth jack all. And then we're getting into percentages, right? We're getting into 0.00 something. So that's a penny. Sorry, it's less than a penny. So yes, everything will end up going to zero against the US dollar. The only survivors are going to be gold, Bitcoin, silver, real estate, and I imagine everything else is going to go to shit. So speaking of survivors, there's going to be some good coins that stand the test of time. Just the same way in the past cycle, the 4 years ago, there were some things that jumped up and then ended up going down into nothing, right? Remember the NFTs, the big craze last time, right? This time around, it's the AI coins and it's the meme coins. So by the next halving, 2028, these meme coins are going to go by the wayside as well, most likely. So keep this in mind. Stay away from the shit coinery. If you want to drop, 2%, 5% of your holdings, put it in some shit coins, hoping to get, 5, 10, 20,000% increases. By all means, do your research. Put a few bucks in there, but don't put your lump sum. Put your lump sum into things that are going to hold their worth, things that are lasting. The top 3 cryptos to survive Donald Trump's tariff war, analysts are saying, Bitcoin, Doge, and XRP. Bitcoin dipped by 4% in the last 24 hours amid reports of upcoming U.S. tariffs on key trading partners. President Donald Trump's tariff announcements have been dynamic enough to keep crypto traders on edge as Bitcoin and altcoins continue to react to the news. Bitcoin's price recovered early this week as traders were optimistic about reports that Trump would opt for a narrower tariff than previously suggested. U.S. President Donald Trump spoke with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney Friday morning, and initial reports are favorable. So, first of all, this Mark Carney fellow was not voted in. He didn't receive one vote from Canadian citizens. He was when Trudeau stepped down. He basically had his party had an election, the Liberal Party, and the winner of that Liberal Party election, which is not by the people. This was by the Liberals who voted him in, right? They were the only ones who got to vote here. The actual party made him, de facto, pseudo prime minister. Someone's got to be prime minister. It's a bit of a sham system, if you ask me. What should have happened is if he stepped down immediately, there should have been an election, and then that new person would have come in. Instead, this Carney person has come in. They have immediately taken the ideas from the conservative who's running, Pierre Poilievre, and right away he's taken his ideas and implementing them as if they were his own. So I don't trust this guy. This guy was the Britain's finance minister. He's a Canadian guy, but he was the finance minister, I believe, here in Canada. Then he went over to Britain during Brexit, and from what I understand, completely ruined their economy. And now he's back in Canada, and it appears he is, pro environment, pro DEI, pro all the. It's like Biden Canada, and it's like Trudeau Senior, and it seems that he's actually married to Trudeau's, family or something like this. So he basically put his cousin. It's just ridiculous. So these liberals in Canada had 10 years. They've messed everything up for 10 years, made a mockery of the country from, instead of the country being, a beautiful place for people to live and prosper, they are going to continue their negative liberal ways. So Trump, though, of course, had a good phone call with them. Trump said the phone call was very, very good, adding, I think things will work out very well on his end. Carney's office said the two sides agreed to begin comprehensive negotiations. Meanwhile, it remains uncertain if Trump will announce additional levies on Canada, China, and Mexico on April 2nd. Until then, traders can expect more volatility and price swings in Bitcoin and altcoins. Doge and XRP are the two altcoins that held steady amidst steep Bitcoin flash crashes and Trump tariff announcements. So, stick with the big coins, the Bitcoin also and the big coins. It seems that this is where you're not going to get wrecked and lose your shirt. again, if you want to go speculative, go small amounts on these shit coins. Otherwise, look, I consider Doge a shit coin too, right? It's just a meme coin. So going to that level, Doge, if you want to go high risk, Doge might be a good bet. It's currently at, let's go back to Crypto Bubbles. It's trading at a very low price right now, but it's still number 8 in terms of market cap. So currently 17, 18 cents, right? It's got a fair amount of upside. It was at 50 cents. So, you're looking at a 4x, 5x from here if things start turning around. Big news, though, today is the U.S. regulators, FDIC and CFTC, ease crypto restrictions for banks and derivatives. The new guidelines come after the FDIC removed the reputational risk category from bank exams. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, said in a March 28 letter that institutions under its oversight, including banks, can now engage in crypto-related activities without prior approval. The announcement comes as the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, announced that digital assets derivatives wouldn't be treated differently than any other derivatives. So normally this would be huge news, let's face it, right? If there wasn't any tariff talk, everything would be pumping right now. The FDIC letter rescinds a previous instruction under former President Joe Biden's administration that required institutions to notify the agency before engaging in crypto-related activities. Crypto-related activities include, but are not limited to, acting as crypto asset custodians, maintaining stablecoin reserves, issuing crypto and other digital assets, acting as market makers or exchange or redemption agents, participating in blockchain and distributed ledger-based settlements or payment systems, including performing node functions, as well as related activities such as finder activities and lending. So this is really good news. We're talking about the banks now being allowed to do certain things with crypto. This is definitely new. This is against the Democrats' 4-year degradation of the crypto market. So definitely big news, and I think a lot of this news is going to come out a little more prominently. Right now, there's definitely no mainstream media information about any of this stuff. They're just covering the regular, Elon and Trump and tariffs and negative, right? But they're not taking anything positive from what's happening with the U.S. and with the tariffs. Effectively, the U.S. is finally taking care of themselves. That's what's really happening. And is it all the other countries' fault that, all these years riding on the states' coattail, they should have just done things before? Why are they waiting for the last second to say, like Canada, biggest oil reserves in the world apparently, underground, but they're sitting on it and there's all this regulation that won't let them extract it. Well, what are you waiting for? Now you want to do something, right? Why didn't you do something all these years? And now it's a big deal, right? Mexico, same thing. Why didn't you create better deals for the car manufacturing? So, why didn't you have better security at the border? Why do you have all these gangs? Why? There's so many questions that each country should be asking themselves and not blaming the U.S. for suddenly creating these tariffs and, oh my goodness, you're going to bankrupt our country. Other country is not going to look out for you, let's face it. So they need to look after themselves I think all the countries are going to end up coming out of this more positively. I also feel that eventually this tariff talk is going to become numbing, and just as the last cycle where every word Elon would say when he mentioned the word Bitcoin or when he mentioned the word Doge, the price would pump like mad. And then after hearing it, for 100 times, people stopped giving a shit. So a lot of this tariff I thought was already priced into the market. I feel like it is at this point. So we're going to see what happens over the next, April 2nd, which is Tuesday. And, we've said it here on the show before that Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett, he took all his stocks out. He's into cash. So if you want to follow the whales, they're already telling you what they did, right? He's sitting on the sidelines with cash. Now, maybe you want to sit on the sideline with cash. Maybe you want to sit on the sideline with Bitcoin. Maybe you want to sit on the sideline with stablecoin. Maybe you want to sit on the sideline with gold, silver, right? As everything else is going down, those are going up. So that's definitely one approach. Do your own research. Listen to more than one source, and hopefully you get a good idea of where you should really be putting your money. And remember, if things do tank and you're stuck in the market, that's the time to buy the dip. Don't sell your stocks, don't sell your coins when the price is low. If you're in some kind of shit coin, I don't know what to tell you, but if you're in Bitcoin, if you're in Solana, XRP, these things are going to bounce. It's a good time to buy the dip. I've said it many times. I'm going to be buying the dip for sure. And in fact, I might even do it right when we get off the show, because there's a fair possibility that things are going to pump up again. With Bitcoin, once it's hit this $76,500, it seems to hit that, find some real support at that level, and it's happened twice now. So it's almost like a smart play where you can buy it at 87, 88, wait for it to head down to 76, buy more at 76. It's a reasonable play. Now, what are the whales doing? We always like to watch the whales because just like Warren Buffett, the people who have the money seem to know, or they have better sources, or they have insiders who explain to them exactly what's going on, and they always seem to come out ahead in these situations, don't they, folks? And this has been happening since the 20s, right? The great stock market crashes. There's people that have been, jumping off the freaking ledges of buildings, and then there's other people that, are laughing because, like Warren Buffett, they've already pulled their money into cash. They're waiting a few days until everything crashes, and they're going to get back into the stock market at historical lows. And effectively, 2 days later, they've already made, in their case, millions and millions of dollars. So Bitcoin price falls toward range lows, but data shows that whales are going wild right now. Traders say Bitcoin is at risk of selling off to 65,000, but one analyst says key price metric shows whales going wild right now. And we've heard this before, folks. When people start talking about, it's going to go to 65,000, it's going to go to this. So far it hasn't. Not that history always repeats, but these 4-year cycles have been pretty reliable thus far. And there's been 4 cycles to get our information from. For me, I trust these cycles, and that's kind of what I follow, and I feel like things are going to mirror that coming into toward the end of the year, over the next few months. And we should see a big increase in the biddy specifically. Bitcoin price extended its decline on March 28th, falling for a 4th consecutive day to paint an intraday low of 83,387, and a decline mirror the Wall Street sell-off where the Dow Jones closed 700 points lower alongside the S&P index, which dropped 112 points. The sell-off in equities is widely attributed to investors' increasing worries over inflation after the core personal consumption expenditures index data from February rose to 2.8%. This is exactly the same number that came out in Canada. It was about 3 weeks ago, and it was 2.6%, I believe. So that equals to a 0.4 monthly increase, which was higher than expected. The sell-off was further amplified by markets' response to Donald Trump's newly levied reciprocal tariffs, which applied a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the USA. The chances for a Bitcoin relief rally or oversold bounce are likely diminished as traders cautiously keep an eye on April 2nd, the day Trump has labeled Liberation Day, where additional tariffs, including pharmaceutical tariffs, are expected to be unveiled. Bitcoin price falls to 65,000 is the question here. According to veteran trader Peter Brandt, Bitcoin could be on the path to $65,500. Don't shoot the messenger, just reporting on what the chart says until it says something different. Bear wedge completed with 2x target from the double top at 65,000 bucks. So here we are right here. Now I feel like we've already closed off on this head and shoulders pattern somewhere around this line. Crypto trader HTLNL agreed with Brandt, suggesting that Bitcoin's failure in breaking the ice of long-term descending trend line and the confirmation of the bear wedge are proof that BTC is destined to revisit its range lows. Going right into this level here, matching the entry point on the other side. From a purely technical point of view, it's difficult to project a swift reversal in Bitcoin's price action as many of its daily time frame metrics are not oversold. Despite the absence of strong spot market demand in the current price zone, crypto trader Cole Garner says that whales are going wild right now. And here's his tweet. Whales are going wild right now. Just spotted a massive bull signal I've tracked since the 2000 cycle. The last 3 times this metric went vertical. BTC averaged 50% plus gains within 50 days. This runs deep. So much going on under the hood. And here's his metric that he's talking about. According to Garner, the Bitfinex spot BTC margin longs to margin shorts metric just fired a powerful signal which shows historical returns of 50% plus returns within 50 days. So the longs, it appears, are now outweighing the shorts. And I believe it because, you know, the price has come down. You got to be an idiot to be short selling Bitcoin right now, right at these prices. Beyond the day-to-day price fluctuation, positive crypto industry developments continue to occur on the regulatory front. And then they go into the FDIC for clarifying the process for banks to engage in crypto-related activities. So daily and weekly, we're getting some bullish tenets for Bitcoin. Again, let's see what happens. If this was a more normalized cycle with the whole world not overreacting to this tariff thing, and, you know, the Democrats going crazy with Elon Musk and all these cuts, I feel like the Bitcoin's price would already be quite a bit higher. I also feel like the price is being suppressed by the whales, by the big buyers, big purchasers, BlackRock, U.S. government. nation states, they need to buy Bitcoin on the low, and they haven't even passed their regulations yet. I mean, sure, the U.S. did for a Bitcoin reserve, but they don't even know how they're going to buy it, right? A good play for them would be as the price of gold goes up, and it's way up, they take some gold and they sell it and they buy some Bitty because the price is pretty low on the Bitty. This certainly would be a reasonable thing for them to do, and it would be a budget neutral way to acquire more Bitcoin. But, you know, the whales are buying this thing on the low, so that's what I tend to focus on. There's so much money out there, folks, and, you know, we're small players in a big ocean, small fish in a big pond. And the whales really have tons of cash to mess with and play with. And there's $900 trillion in the world in assets. So there's lots of people with money out there. And there's lots of money and assets for you to go out and obtain. Remember, it's time that's scarce. So use your time wisely. Also, spend less money than what you earn. If you suddenly make more money, start saving more money. Don't start spending more money so you can keep up with the Joneses and buy a new this and a new car. And, you know, a good saying is that I heard, it used to be that you would buy something and it would last. Something good, something that would last a while. Now, you buy one plastic piece of crap only to replace it with a fancier piece of plastic crap 3 years later. So don't be that person. Live within your means and start saving and investing when you're young, in your teens, in your early 20s, and ideally you can retire when you're 40 or 45. If you've got a great idea, start on it right away. Don't wait for tomorrow. Start right away, even if you're not ready, and things will slowly come together for you. Folks, when you're watching Crypto News Global, you're not only watching the show, you are the show. And it would be great if you could help me along in my attempt to get to 1,000 subscribers this year. If you found this stream enjoyable, please share, like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you on the next show tomorrow, folks. Thanks so much for joining.